how's the evolution of designing these adventures changing for you? Since you've been doing this since modules and since, doing it for magazines now, are you structuring things differently, do you find?
Yeah, I'm structuring things differently, learning as I go. Even though I've probably written and edited over, 5,000 D&D adventures, it never gets boring because it's nice to be able to apply things that I've learned. And so, for instance, one of the things in the Wild Beyond the Witchlight that I learned is we have room and should do a little bit more hand-holding for the DM in the introduction. And so there's a little bit more advice than normal about, hey DM, what are the kinds of things that you tell your players versus the kinds of things that you withhold? Under normal circumstances, that information would be in the DMG, but because it's not, it's in this adventure, and it's tailored accordingly. And that is something that is discovered over time. The amount of information that a DM needs versus the amount that they can just handle on their own. And it's different for every adventure. Some adventures, for instance, require or beg flowcharts to sort of help you visualize how the story goes. The Wild Beyond the Witchlight didn't need that, but I felt it needed something else. Every adventure for me is a chance to improve and try something different. And I'm always looking for, okay, what do I bring forward from past adventures that has been successful, but what does this story demand that it really needs that's kind of new?
Do you find yourself that there's always like a kind of a hook for you that gets you excited for an adventure?
Yeah, and it's not always the same kind of thing. With the Wild Beyond the Witchlight, it kind of started with, it may have started either with the image of the cauldron in my head, a cauldron adorned with 8 eyes, 8 bats, 8 cats, 8 snakes, 8 feet, and 8 toads. I had a very specific image in my head, and or it might have started with the theme of time. I can't remember which came first. Probably time. It started with that. Let's say it started with that, and then the cauldron emerged.
But you and I have talked about this. You don't always like timey-wimey stuff.
Oh, time travel in adventures is a nightmare. And in campaigns, it's even worse.
You and I played an adventure that had time travel.
Yes. But maybe because, I am getting toward the end of my professional tenure, that time is more important to me than it used to be. And I like the way it's sort of handled here. It's not like a beat your head over, this is a story about time, damn it. It's subtle.
Back to the Witchlight.
It's just sort of woven into the story. A lot of people don't know this, but the code name for this adventure before we had a title was Hourglass.
Right.
Tying into the theme of time. And, I have watched time trickle through my hourglass for a long time. And I thought, now is a great opportunity to really kind of delve into this theme and pull things forward from D&D's past and really kind of tap into the nostalgia, but also look to the future. Embed things in this story that might suggest stuff yet to come.
I mean, this does beg the question, now, as you say about your career and everything, are you now more dangerous than you've ever been before? Because you have, you have nothing to lose when it comes
very
to
little
D&D
fear.
adventures.
I have very little fear.
Yeah. Do you find yourself taking
So wait till next year.
some more risks? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait till next year.
Yeah, I'm taking more risks. Definitely, by far. And it's also, we're fairly deep in the line of 5th edition right now,
Yeah.
And so we can kind of explore some of the elements of the D&D multiverse that we just haven't had time or been able to get around to. And that's also exciting for the fans and for me.
Why should a player basically guilt their dungeon master into running this game for them? Or why should they convert now to become a dungeon master and run this game for their friends?
Well, for players, it's easy. They can play a rabbit person.
That's true. That's fair. You play a rabbit barbarian, which I have
Yes.
seen many
Yes.
now.
Yeah, we recently play tested the Herringons, which are our rabbit folk. They put in an appearance here. And there are some NPC Herringons you'll meet in the story who are not very nice. And then, or if you want to play a fairy, if you've longed to play a fairy,
Yeah.
here's a great opportunity to do that. So that's great for the players. For the DM, I think that this is an adventure that easily imports into your homeworld. You don't have to do a lot of lifting because the carnival is basically just shows up and then off you go. And then you're sucked into this other realm. The great thing, the liberating thing about the Feywild is that players don't really know anything about it. So you kind of have as a DM, creative carte blanche to indulge your wackiest instincts.
Yeah.
And to play with characters who are certifiable.
Kellic. And Morduke's not like, I would say, I mean, Morduke's not doing high math.
No, he's a fighter. He just hits things with his smoking hot sword.
He's doing his best.
But he's got multidimensionality. There is a world where the characters can get him on their side. And what's worse than having a guy with a flaming sword and a badass helmet fighting beside you?
And you did mention that almost everything can be handled by diplomacy, or at least not combat.
Correct. That's one of the options of the adventure, is a crafty group of characters can get through the adventure without having to beat anything over the head with a sword or blow it up with a fireball spell, if they want. Now, that's not to say there's not danger. There's plenty of danger, and they could do some things that cause harm to be visited upon them. But if they're clever, there's always a kind of a way around the Feywild, or at least this realm of the Feywild, without having to resort to violence.
Okay. Well, I mean, all good points. You got 80s villains, you got custard damage, your general menace. I feel like this is very attuned to you as a person for some reason.
To some extent, anything that I work on is going to be attuned to me as a person, just by the fact that I can't keep myself out of it. But yes, I think this adventure, more than any in recent memory, really plays to my predilections. And I'm a huge Halloween aficionado, and this is the most Halloween-y thing I've ever done.
Yeah, because Halloween has whimsy. Like,
it does.
Ravenloft isn't necessarily so Halloween-y.
Yeah.
It's
correct.
Halloween where you don't wake up the next morning.
Yes. This is more like Trick or Treat Halloween.
Yeah.
Trick or Treat, go to the party Halloween.
Yeah, there's two different movies. There's two different genres there.
Yes.
So.
This isn't the one where you end up staked and dead in a graveyard somewhere.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I like to avoid that. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.